Hello, beautiful soul family. Welcome back to another Monday Magic Intuitive Energy reading. Excited to be here with you again. Happy Monday. Happy we are finally through the eclipse, although we are still in eclipse season. So that's important to remember. But in general, there's a bit of a dissipation of the energy, which is nice. This past week, we had relatively mild solar weather, mild Schumann resonance activity. Not much to speak of, which is probably a good thing considering the intense energies of the eclipse. So I hope you all weathered it well, fared it well. It was an interesting one. There were a lot of ups and downs as per usual for everyone. It does very much feel like we are in, a void. I don't know if we're technically in a void of moon, but we are in the what is it, waxing crescent moon. So there's very much sort of that feeling of a void or an emptiness or just the pause, the in between where we have not fully moved into the new yet, but it's clear that there's been a delineation, that something is gone, that we have moved out of a phase. And it's interesting because we're sort of at the edge of the unknown. To quote a beautiful friend, I will have to find her channel for you and link it below because I don't have that offhand. But it does kind of feel like we're standing at a starting line and yet being held back. It's kind of like somebody's got a tether to our shirt, that we're trying to move into something new. But there's not the energy for that yet, that we're still very much in just sort of the darkness of the new moon. What was interesting last week is we had 3 green days. A woman by the name of Kathleen Whalen does the conscious calendars based on Vedic astrology, which is really interesting, where she does sort of a red, yellow, green calendar to tell you which days are going to be very high energy and which days are going to be low energy. And the green days are very high energy. And so the first couple of days of last week were green days, and I felt very much the palpable confirmation of that high energy. You were able to get a lot of things done. And then Friday we hit sort of a breaking point. It was a pause, much lower energy on Friday and into the eclipse energy. And I think we're still feeling that. I at least am still feeling that today. But it does feel like maybe we're very, very slowly picking up speed again. A lot of fatigue, which is very common. If the light of the sun is blocked out, that is our source of energy. So it's common to feel low energy or fatigue or tired around a new moon. I felt it more strongly, likely because of the eclipse. What was really also very interesting about last week was there was a lot of inflammation, not just for me, but for clients. So it was a pretty consistent theme. A lot of just swelling in the body, which I do usually find happens around the new moon, full moon. But it was interesting that it came in so early and was so persistent up until the moon. And then I do also find that, if I've had processed food versus just primarily raw vegetables, I will have more inflammation. So it's fascinating how the moon pulls on the body and the water in the body. And depending on our level of clarity in the body, we can experience more or less inflammation. Also, holding on to traumas will also create issues. If we're working through things and we're holding on to things we're not releasing, we're in resistance. I do want to just clarify that when I delivered these messages or any of the other videos, the message is not lost on me. I am not coming from some high horse that I've got it all figured out. That these are just as much for me as they are for you. So I want to just be humble in that, that confession that we are all in this together. Lucid dreams have been common lately too. I would say probably the last 2 weeks. Not sure if I mentioned this last week, but just being aware of dreaming unintentionally. I don't seek out lucid dreaming as a skill or as something to experience. But again, not just for me, for clients and my kids, which is interesting, for an 8-year-old to be aware of her dream in her dream without attempting to lucid dream was pretty fascinating as well. Another strong sense that I have gotten with this moon is sort of karmic reaping, for better or for worse. If you have been sowing the seeds of building towards your purpose, towards your dreams, that there is a reaping of that, or reaping of the seeds that we have sown, if you will. If you have been avoiding things, there's also sort of a reaping of the unfortunate side effects of not doing the work, or clinging to things and not letting them go. So hopefully for you, that is a positive. I sort of have a mixed bag, that things are amazing with the business, but there's things that I still have to work through, and some family stuff that isn't just reliant on me, that I get tied up in. And so those things, it can be challenging when other people are involved, and we still have to release, we have to do our part, we have to do the best we can, right? So there's a very clear shift. We have stepped into something new. The old is behind us, and of course we could say that in every moment, but this feels very significant. And for me, it was the eclipse. There was definitely a feeling of just sort of a stillness. Again, it reminds me of sort of a void, that there was just an emptiness in the energy of the moon on Saturday. And it wasn't positive or negative necessarily. It was just kind of this pause. It was a pregnant pause in between what felt like the old and what seems to be what is new coming, but still has yet to present itself. Yes, what was not working has officially been released. It's kind of like this breaking point of like, you cannot pass go with this old baggage. You cannot move forward until we have. And so we are in that. We have fully let go. Now we rebuild. That's the beautiful part of the letting go, is after that comes the rebuilding. And that is very much fitting for a new moon and a growing moon, that we are in the rebuilding phase. We are receiving new energies, new assistance. Like I mentioned, there's sort of that emptiness, the void, the pause, and then this sense of something new, and the support that is coming for it is trickling in very, very slowly. Even in these moments, I'm just starting to feel like, okay, we got some energy behind us. We can bootstrap it, right? Pick ourselves back up. Let's get back on the horse. And so this is a perfect time. Obviously, new moons, new intentions, but eclipses are even more powerful. So set those intentions and step into that version of yourself, is what was coming through, is claim it, own it, in order to see it, in order to be it. So to say, this is where we're going, to declare your power and authority over your life, to say, this is what I've set my intentions for. This is where we're moving. We are in, like I said, regaining strength as these energies start to build, start to come back in. But if you're not feeling that yet, don't push yourself. We're still very much always given permission to rest as needed. The fatigue can lead to or allow in that fear of endless struggle, or the fear of it never getting better. Really watch those negative thought patterns, because the spiral down can gain momentum. It can, those thought patterns can really take on a life of their own, and they can be sticky, and they can really grip you and pull you down. So just notice that may be because you're tired, because you're fatigued, because there's not a lot of light right now, not a lot of energy to support you. Just recognize it's temporary. It's not a bigger picture, long-term issue. And just remember that what seems big and overwhelming right now is not necessarily as big as it might seem. Just remember, monsters seem bigger in the dark. And that was a fun one that came through, is what seems so big and overpowering, or too much to handle, or you just don't have the energy for anymore, will not seem as big in a couple of days when we get more energy and more rejuvenation behind us. Don't give up. Things will get easier. That's a clear piece of guidance for all of us. Rest as needed, but do not quit. One foot in front of the other will always keep you moving towards the goal. So just take one step today. That's all you got to do. Don't worry about the big picture. Don't worry about, when am I going to get to rest, or when is it going to get easier? That will come. But just today, one foot in front of the other, right? The light is returning. Nothing is as bad as it seems. Nothing is as big as it seems. Remember, monsters always seem bigger or scarier in the dark, right? No rash decisions in this moment. We are in a sort of a recalibration and an absorption of where are we at now, what's being called for, wait it out. If you don't have certainty or clarity, no step is required necessarily. Of course, there's going to be exceptions to the rule, but in this moment, we're just in the feeling it out phase. We don't really need to commit to big moves. Making decisions from this place of darkness, if you will, little light, little energy to support, can come from an irrational place, or an emotional place, or a traumatized place, or a triggered place. And those decisions tend to actually cause more problems for us down the road. So we really want to wait until clarity comes. Call in what you need. If you think there's something that you need, call that in, but be patient and wait for that to come so that you're not going out and creating more issues from, again, a place of lack or scarcity or fear or fatigue or whatever it might be, right? Remember to meet your own needs. It was interesting that I was guided to look up again something I'm very familiar with, but the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Really look at all of those different layers on the pyramid and look at, are you missing any of them? Remembering that connection is an important need, that we cannot survive without connection. We need intimate connection even. And that does not mean romantic, but that does mean a relationship with someone where you feel fully seen, fully heard, not judged, accepted as you are. So really look at, if you haven't looked at it lately, look up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and look at whether or not you're meeting all of those needs. Recognize that if one of those needs is not being met, then it's your job to go out and meet that need. Also remembering that what you need tends to come to you when you don't need it. So if we're in that needy place, that is a place of lack. So when we call in something, we want to call it in with the assumption that it's available to us. We can have gratitude for it already being there because of the promises made to us. But remember not to beg and plead and hope and pray from a place of lack, because that is the vibration that you're sending out. Remember to look for the good, right? It says, remember and look for the good that is happening for you, right? So what that means is remember and also look for the good that is happening for you. Means it's already good. It's already here. The good things are present in the situation, even if it might not look like it. And so we have to remember that it's always happening for us, not to us, which means it's awesome and amazing. We just have to have the remembrance that it is good for us and the willingness to look for and ask, how is this serving me? I'm super curious. Come with a place of playful curiosity to say, I wonder how this is going to work out. Looks pretty hairy. I bet it's going to be awesome. And having that simple curiosity can really make things more fun. Have patience. And remember that big things, big shifts and changes that you're calling in do take time. It is the impatience that causes or prevents manifestations, if you will, and that when we call in for something, and words today, we call in something, but we wait a day or two or a week or two or a month or two, depending on the size of the thing that we've called in. And all of a sudden we get impatient. We say, it's not coming. And you can basically erase or negate what you are calling in by stepping into impatience and disbelief, right? So remember that big things take time to shift. Action is always necessary. Manifestation does not mean sit on your couch and it's just going to fall in your lap. That's not how it works. You do have to take the action. I love to recommend the game of Marco Polo with God. It's this ping back and forth. What would you have me do today? Then take that action. What would you have me do now? Then take that action. What's the next topic for the next video? Then take that action, right? Just ping back and forth, constant communication. Source wants to have a relationship with you as if you were their best friend. So why not take that hand that's being reached out to? And then, of course, remember to nurture and feed yourself while you're waiting. So in the wait, if you will, that's our time to play. That's our time to have fun, to do things that light us up, to move into that parasympathetic nervous system state that is feminine, that allows and is able to receive and magnetize. That is our job. So to nurture and feed yourself means to make sure that you're in that state of being where you are cared for and you are enjoying life and you are open and receptive, instead of that very masculine, resistant, blocking state of hypervigilance or people pleasing or whatever trauma response is your go-to fight, flight, fawn, freeze. Okay, So I think that's all I have for you today. For some reason, grounding is coming through pretty strongly right now. So something I would usually say after a session with a client, after we've done trauma spotting, is make sure that you drink water, ground, and consume minerals. Minerals help us purge, release, and regenerate. So among many other things, not to oversimplify, but you understand the point. So for some reason that is being called for us now. Likely the big energies that we are receiving require some grounding and physical support to support the body as we integrate, which is very much what the energy feels like right now. So that is all I have for you, my friends. I love you so much. Make sure you be kind and loving to your brothers and sisters. And I will see you on the next one. For some reason, I'm also having the thought that I'm hosting a free event tomorrow in a private Facebook group so if you're not already on that invite list, let me know if you'd like to reserve a seat. I will send you the details. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. I love you, my friends.